BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Hi guys, it's Daniel Dubois here, future heavyweight champion of the world. I'm back in June, making my comeback after the last setback. First off, I got to warn everyone that the following podcast will contain some strong language and adult themes. Enjoy.
Oh, and Daniel didn't know when he recorded that message, but this episode does contain a huge Line of Duty spoiler, so I do want to warn you about that as well.
Crouchy P on the MIC. We're doing this not for free. We're doing it for the massive.
Got to bash out a quick Mike Dean slaughters chickens in the local park.
Was it David or was it David?
No, not that phrase. the one that David said to you.
I don't want to do that.
That's why I've asked you the question. Pancake.
Who is the pancake of the Premier League?
That should be on the start, I reckon. Everyone's got a Fernando Torres. Well, hello and welcome to That Peter Crouch podcast with me, Peter Crouch, Tom Fordyce and Chris Stark are with me as usual. How are we, boys? All good?
Yeah, this is rather different for us, Chris, isn't it? Because we usually record this podcast of an evening. We might have a beverage with us, maybe a whiskey for me. Today, we've got our business heads on. It is just after 9 o'clock in the morning. Crouchy's got an orange juice and some toast. Chris, you have had
Crumpets.
Coffee, and literally you've got stuck into some crumpet.
Yeah. In a classic sort of pod style, I'm looking at the crumpet thing, about to start a podcast going, do I bring it up? Because I'm still not sure what a crumpet actually is. But yeah, a lovely bit of crumpet in the morning and thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's a nice brekkie, you just put a load of butter on it and get stuck in.
Like you could put, I don't know what you had on it, Chris, on your crumpet.
Just butter, yeah. Just went in on the butter, yeah.
So you've buttered your crumpet. And the weird thing is you could look back at your crumpet about 30 seconds later and look at it and see no evidence of the butter and think, did I actually butter it at all?
Yeah, because you mop it up. You mop it up with the last bit of crumpet, don't you?
Yeah. Great to hear Daniel Dubois, heavyweight boxer, doing the language warning. He's going to be back later with a question, of course.
Do you know what I find funny with boxers is how confidently they will declare themselves the future heavyweight champion of the world. Phrases like that. It doesn't really happen the same with football, does it, Crouchy?
Yeah, it's just accepted, totally accepted. If I just came on the telly after the match the day after my first Premier League goal and said, well, I think I'm going to break Alan Shearer's record. Well, I know I am. I'm 19 and I've scored bag one in the Prem.
But the weird way that boxing works, because obviously in football, it's a meritocracy, isn't it? Like you had to actually prove that you're going to do that. But in boxing, the fights happen because boxers are perceived to hate each other. So the trash talking is an essential part of it, isn't it? It's a bit like, the 19-year-old Crouch says, I'm going to play for England. And then 2 games later, you're playing for England because someone else said you can't play for England.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also as well, if I somehow got a shot, if someone pulled out and I had a penalty shootout against Lionel Messi for the best player in the world, you know what I mean? It could feasibly happen if it was a one-on-one duel like that.
Yeah,
and I could beat him on that particular day. At penalties.
It's a Rocky style scenario, isn't it? It's they would need a contender to go in that penalty shootout. Someone with a bit of trash talk would be ideal, and then you're in the game. You might be a rank outsider, but you've got a swinger's chance.
We do mean business, though, don't we? This is it. You're meaning business today. You've called us in early in the morning, Crouchy, because serious business, this podcast.
Yeah, I'm not messing about today. We talked about potentially having a shithouse awards, and people have got in touch, and it's just gone mad.
It's been busy on socials this week, boys, hasn't it? I mean, Patrick Bamford has been busy learning Vanessa Carlton on the piano. I don't know if you've seen that, and we'll see what he's got for us later. Chris, you can maybe rate how he's getting on.
Yeah,
we've also got, excitingly, an update from the Mayo Mole, who seems to have rattled some big players in the sauce industry. But yeah, this is our launch party for the end of season Shithouse Awards. How are you feeling about this?
Well, I'm very excited, actually, Tom. It feels to me that ideas are starting to snowball. We're talking mayonnaise, business ideas. And of course, we've got our end of series do. And what excites me, I think, most about this plan is, I don't know if you boys agree, some series maybe don't get the respect they deserve when it comes to the final episode, or some people feel that the very final episode might let it down. And so I think it's important that the Shithouse Awards are treated with the respect that they deserve, and we make a real big event of it.
Now, I've seen some real top shithousery in recent weeks, stuff, and some of the emails we've had in from listeners as well, like some serious shithousery. So we could get into that and just crunch through it and see who's worthy of an award.
I think Line of Duty series finale actually was shithousery of the top order. They've got you watching for 5 series. You know, I spent a whole week discussing who's H and all that, and then look.
How can Buckles be in charge of this operation?
That's what I mean.
It's an absolute scandal. Buckles couldn't do his own buckles up.
If you have been watching all 5 series of Line of Duty and perhaps have been saving the final episode, I'd like to apologise on behalf of this podcast for ruining the finale for you. But there we go. Crouchy and Chris have spoken. I think they speak for the nation there.
Yeah, that's quite shithouse of you there, isn't it, Crouch? If you think about it, just giving away the ending of the series.
Shit. Yeah, there might be someone who's not. Have you not watched it, Tom?
So our producer George had already flagged up to Crouchy when you were struggling with your technical issues that as soon as the recording of this podcast was finished, he was intending to watch the climactic.
I didn't hear him
because you were having technical issues. No. You've just done a massive series shithouse.
Oh, fucking sorry, lads. I genuinely didn't mean good. That. I just assumed everyone was across it. Oh, George, I'm sorry, mate. I hate people that do that as well. You know, like Stephen Ireland used to come in and just go right and shithouse everyone with an ending to anything, and I found it really sort of like it made me quite angry. So I'm really sorry. I genuinely didn't mean that.
The issue we've got with the awards, because we've started. Well, obviously, we want to make it happen. But the issue we've got, I'm going to have to say it one more time, is some of the Carls at the BBC aren't happy endorsing an awards ceremony called the Shithouse Awards. And it is a gentle reminder that, obviously, this is produced by the same people that produce Planet Earth. You know, Line of Duty, like these epic BBC shows. So we do have a bit of a tricky one here because I sort of see what they mean in that they've never been in a scenario where a podcast has so many profanities in.
But even the fact also you want profanities feels like the Carls have got to you.
I'm just reading straight from the email.
Yeah, you've never said that. That word didn't come from you.
Also, I like that I'm doing the back and forth on it. So the situation we've got, and I'm interested to know what you both think, is do you remember we had issues around the use, because lawyers got involved when we wanted Crouchfest to be called Crouchella?
Oh, of course.
And it got tricky because people knew it was Crouchella, but we just weren't allowed to say it. Yeah. For fear of lawyers. I think what we've got here, in all honesty, is a situation where we all know it's the Shithouse Awards, but we're going to have to find a way of cleverly disguising that publicly.
Crouchy, what do you think? There was a time when films with profanities, as Chris might refer to them, would find themselves dubbed, if you were watching it as a kid, and you'd hear people referring to muddy funsters or melon farmers.
Yeah. Melon farmers.
Fire truckers.
So is it what I'm saying? Is it something like the Shoshkas, but it doesn't scan right?
Yeah, or the Safe Housery Awards or something like that, and everyone knows that you're not
Safe Housery.
Yeah,
Safe Housery.
I don't want it to be lame, though. Do you know what? It's a really tricky lame. One. This.
Well, do you know what, boys? We had a message from Old Muggins on Twitter. And I think Old Muggins may just have stumbled on it. This sounds to me like a little piece of genius. Old Muggins has suggested that we call them the Shafters.
The Shaft, yes, yeah.
Yeah, do I need to say like Shafters that? So it sounds more BAFTAs?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it Shafters?
Shafters. I like it.
It still works for me, yeah.
Listen, the thing is with shithousing and shithousery, like it rolls off, doesn't it? It's like it's one of those where, oh, look at the shithousing or the shithouse. Look at that shitbag, shithouse.
Yeah, it's a lot of profanities.
Yeah, I was going to say, Crouch, let me read from the email here. Is there are concerns that the Shafters, as we now call them, could be the sweariest BBC podcast ever created. So, and you've just rattled off 5 there in just describing like the safe word we're using for it.
So, are we happy with Shafters then, boys? Do you think that's going to work for us? Are we officially describing these awards as the inaugural Shafters?
I'm happy with that.
I think it's quite good because in a way it shithouses the BAFTAs as well. Just in its own nature, it's quite funny, isn't it?
As long as we have Stephen Fry presenting it, we'll be fine.
Oh, that's a great shout.
Where are we going to host it, by the way? There's one place, I think, which is a natural place to have the inaugural SHAFTAs.
North Korean embassy?
Yeah.
Either that or the Royal Albert Hall, potentially.
I was steering you towards to say the word Samrat.
I think the Samrat is a good shout. The thing is, right, for the last year, we've been on Zoom and we haven't been able to see each other, really. I mean, there was a kind of on and off time between the two lockdowns where I think we were allowed to briefly see each other, but we haven't seen each other for a long, long time. And this podcast has been on Zoom for a long, long time. And it's been fun, but I really look forward to us being able to sit round together, having a drink, doing the podcast, how it started out. And it might be a nice thing to link up for the SHAFTAs.
This is tremendous. So we have name, Bosch. We have venue, Bosch. We've got a date, which will be our final show of this series, which will go out on the 26th of May. Feels like the SHAFTAs are go.
What's great is since we floated the idea of the SHAFTAs, it's going to take some getting used to, but the SHAFTAs, loads of people have been in touch with good examples of housery that they've noticed.
Oh, now that's better. Housery. I can't say, like, even shafting's not a... You can't say that, can you? Housery. Now we're talking.
Okay, so we're not going to say that word. We're just going to say, Crouchy, just do it again for us with the little pause so we know the word's missing.
Housery.
Message from Alex says, former Newcastle manager Joe Kinnear is a regular at the pub I worked in. He came in and ordered a Stella and paid with a £50 note. I told him that afternoon was my birthday and he got out another £50 note and said, here you go, son, happy birthday. Amazing. I reached out my hand to take it, but he quickly withdrew the note and said, in your dreams, son, took his pint and walked on.
So what we've got there is an example of tipping housery.
Yes, very good. Enjoyed that.
Right, we've had loads of messages about this one, boys. A very recent act of housery. But it's Phil with the message. Phil says, what are your thoughts on Bobby Decordova-Reid's attempt to undo the Chelsea goalkeeper's gloves at a corner? Does Peter know of any other set-piece shithousery that goes on?
Yeah, this was big, wasn't it? We got tagged into this clip so many times with people flagging it up. Top housery, in my opinion. Enjoyed it. Just, that little moment where you think that was cheeky, and take your mind off the corner or what's about to happen. That's all this kind of housery is about, isn't it? Just that for that moment, the goalkeeper's thinking, what's going on here? And then, the corner could come in. It's good. I like it. Inventive.
Do you think it was Scott Parker sanctioned?
With one of his notes?
Yeah.
I don't believe so. Knowing Scott the way I do, I don't think. Housery's not his thing, should we say.
But would he turn a blind eye to the housery?
When that famous picture of Vinny with Gaza,
the ball grab
kind of stuff. Yeah, it's in retrospective action, could have been taken, but Gaza's taken it well. Things like that. Even the keeper's got to go, you cheeky little scamp.
But he's thought about it before, don't you think, Crouch? He must have had this idea. It's an odd thing to just do spur of the moment. And it's really clever because if you manage to undo the gloves, it is distracting the keeper massively, isn't it?
Without doubt, yeah. And, he might take his eye off the ball when he comes for the cross. But that position, is a how... God, it's so hard to do this. It's a housing role. That whole role is to unsettle the goalkeeper. So, yeah, he's thought of an inventive way of dealing with it.
Murky, though, isn't it? If you think about it, what would you do if a defender, as you're sort of running around the box, goes down and ties your laces together or something, or undoes your laces? It's not a dissimilar idea, right?
Well, you ever remember when Stephen Taylor at Newcastle was running in front of the goalkeeper, with his arms like this? It's all sort of housery. It's all a game just to take the goalkeeper's mind off what his job is, And It's been going on for years, and it'll never change.
Stephen Taylor also did a great one, you probably remember, where he basically did a full-length dive to make a goal line save with his hand and then collapsed as if the ball had struck him in the stomach. And it didn't fool the referee. He was sent off, I think, but it was a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There's a few been really good at it, isn't it? It's obviously Maradona was the best. I mean, it looked like a header, didn't it? It really did. The way he's managed to do that. Suarez has done it a couple of times, the handball and then hold the face.
Mm.
I mean, it's all housing of the finest.
Cratchit, we've had a message from Christopher.
He says, I'm a goalkeeper and I've got sick of having the big striker or centre-half standing on my toes from corners, so I had to take matters into my own hands. As I saw the player get ready to take the corner, I used to drop the shorts of the player trying to block me for the corner.
Wow. So it's sort of similar, isn't it?
Yeah, because if you pull them down just before the corner's taken, the natural reaction is to pull them up. It's not to go for the header. Straight away, you just grab them, don't you, and you pull them back up. So you don't go for the header. So that split second is gone, and great way of dealing with it.
It's such a good, it's one of my favourite things. I've not done it for a while to anyone. This is definitely something you've done with other players, Crouchy. The old shorts down, trousers down. What's your best one? I'll be amazed if you haven't done this.
No, I have done it, but it was mainly a school trick, really. I always remember this, right? My mate thought he had a sniff with this girl in the sixth form, and he always remembered this. It was Herman, actually, right? So he's waving.
I'm glad Herman's back. I miss Herman.
Amazing. He's waving at her. She's in so she's in the upper bit in the sixth form block, and we're in the playground. It's like playtime, and as he's waved, I've run in and pulled his trousers down. And she looked at him like, oh God, he's 2 years younger, so yeah, he was gone after that.
How far did you manage? Did you just expose some buttock, or did you?
Well, there was a tiny bit of pant. I got a bit of pant, but I couldn't get the whole pant.
Because they always grab it in time, which is as funny.
Crouch going for the spectacular. Oh, what a goal from Peter Crouch!
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
We've had a message from Keith in Leith, which sounds ridiculous, but apparently it's true.
Shut up.
Go on, Keith in Leith.
No way. His name...
Is this made up, Tom? Is this please tell me if this is made up or
real.
not.
He's housing us. 100%.
He must be, mustn't he? It reminds me of my friend Frank, who once went out with a policewoman, and he was living in Luton at the time. So for a brief period, he was dating a constable from Dunstable.
Oh, that's good as well.
It's great because it's like on an email like this, it's just absolutely perfect, isn't it?
Well, listen, if you live in a place that rhymes with your name, if you are another Keith from Leith, or if you are another constable from Dunstable, get in touch with us.
What about Paul from Paul? Does that work?
Yeah,
Paul from Paul's fine.
That's good. Yeah. There must be some more. Wow.
Keith in Leith says, I would like to nominate my friend Martin for the Father Housery Awards. He would take a dump in the toilet and leave it for his wife to find. She would then find his 2 kids and blame them while he laughed in the next room.
I mean, that really is.
That's literally what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm a bit annoyed his friend Martin doesn't come from a place that rhymes with there's nothing that rhymes with Martin, though, is there?
Yeah.
This just sounds a bit weird to me, if I'm honest. I don't know why.
Yeah, it hints to me, Chris, of deeper problems in Martin's relationship with his wife.
Just you think?
Have you ever done this trick with Abby?
No.
Or has Abby done this trick on you, Cratchy?
She hasn't. No, she certainly hasn't. My kids do it regularly. They just leave it in there.
I don't know how possible it would be to pass off an adult male's load with that of a child.
Load.
I was going to say dropping the kids off at the pool, but then it would have got confusing with the fact that you're blaming the kids.
Yeah,
that's what I originally thought the message was talking about. Floaters are quite 90s as well. I feel like toilets have improved now.
Why?
You don't really see floaters as such anymore, do you? Or do you? I don't.
You very rarely see a floater now.
It's a real treat if you do.
Looking back, when were the glory years? 90s? Was it 93 to 98?
I think it was 90s. Floaters are quite 90s, I think.
It goes with the death of the sort of public toilet. It's not. I remember I used to be in the park and just constantly always use the toilet that was in the park. But my mum and dad said, obviously, don't go in there because it's not the greatest of places. But there's not. I mean, they've gone now. Don't see them anymore, really, do you?
Is there anything more outrageous or anything that seems incredibly expensive when it's ludicrously cheap as having to pay 20 or 30p to use the toilet at a station?
Haven't they canned that now? I think
I saw it at a public toilets recently, and I think it was 30p. And there were people who clearly needed to use the toilet who walked towards it, saw that there was a man there waiting to collect their 30p, and turned on their tail in disgust and walked off.
Bit of a scandal, isn't it?
Well, also, the nearer you get to the toilet, the nearer you need it. And then trying to find coins. And then if you don't have coins, you're mucking around with that machine there that gives you, you put a tenner in, and then you're receiving £10 worth of 10p coins.
That's a form of housing, isn't it?
It's very much so, yeah. There are also the sort of turnstiles there that are they're designed at a height that makes you want to hurdle them.
I've hurdled them before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Keith from Leith. There's a lot been discussed there.
Got a nice message here from Terry from Derry. Took me about 20 minutes, I had to say it.
Here's a nice message from Matt. Matt says, for these awards, I can't look past Pep Guardiola. Back in 2018, when City faced Shakhtar Donetsk in the Champions League, left-back Zinchenko splashed out on 27 tickets for family and friends, as it was back in his home country. Zinchenko wasn't even picked on the bench.
Oh, that is amazing. That is no sentiment whatsoever, is it?
Does that give us managerial? What should we call this award? Is that managerial housery? Is that selectoral housery?
No, I think it's a really good point. This is we do need to define the categories for the awards. So I guess we do need a manager award, and your usual suspects will probably be in there. I don't think it'll be hard to find a good clip from Warnock.
Warnock, Allardyce.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's loads. That reminds me of that Guardiola one. Reminds me of when I was on a hat trick at St Andrews. I'd scored 2 in the first half, and said to Rafa at half time, I said, buzzing in, I'm on a hat trick. Could you just can you leave me on? We're on fire here. We're going to score loads. All I need is one more. I said, please leave me on, Gaffer, for the hat trick.
And did he say yes at that point? Or
yeah, he was like, yeah, like as if, yeah, I'll fucking show you. And,
I'll leave you on.
Yeah. Thumbs up. Hauled me off within 10 minutes.
So when you saw the board go up, I bet you couldn't believe it. I
looked at him and I was like,
shithouse.
Been fully housed there.
Are we including other sports in the awards? We do need to sort this. Is it largely football? Or it should really be, shouldn't it?
No, I think it has to be mainly football. But if there's something so unbelievably, out there, we could have, sporting housery, couldn't we?
Okay, fine. I'm just thinking. I've just got one eye here on all the categories that we need to come up with for this, and ultimately, we need people to fire in their suggestions on email and social. So we sort of want the kind of the obvious categories all ticked off, don't we, for an evening's awards?
Well, listen, lads, I'm making a list here. I've got 4 or 5 categories. We'll nail that before the end.
Perfect. We've had a message from Adam. Adam says, I used to work as an analyst for manager Simon Grayson. Grayson and his wife had a bet going on as to who could do the most steps in a period over a few weeks. Every day in training, Grayson would hand his Fitbit to a youth team right back. The players' pancakes certainly helped Grayson to an easy victory over his spouse.
Wow.
I hope Mrs. Grayson listens to the pod.
Mrs. Grayson.
That's outrageous. I wonder if he'd ever told her.
What category can that fall into? Is that another one for sort of partner housery?
Yeah, that's partner spouse houser, isn't it?
Spousery. It's. But that's outrageous though, because the stats must have been so different. And it's foul play on Mrs. Grayson. It'd be great if we could break it at Mrs. Grayson, though.
You can imagine Mrs. Grayson going to her Zumba class and like thinking these numbers are decent, and then going back and Grayson just flags his Fitbit and she's like, "What? It's blown me out of the water."
You know, during the summer you get like a belt, heart rate belt, and a GPS for so you have to, you know, basically do a total amount of hours or runs, you know, to keep yourself fit for when you come back pre-season. And well, it was my mate. I asked him, he was training for a marathon, so I was trying to get it on him. I was trying to get it on him to the odd run, and it can't be done because obviously his heart rate and his stats are a lot different to mine. Can get flagged up.
That's one of those ones where you don't want him to do a full marathon in it because it's unbelievable. You've got to hit that sweet spot where he's doing enough steps to make you look good, but not so many that it's impossible to believe.
So this is why Crouchy ended up back in the Premier League, was it? The last season. It was these unbelievable stats. The guy's running marathons for fun.
He's 38, but he's doing 10 miles a day for the fun of it.
Message here from Lewis says, surely one of the finest examples was when a Swansea ball boy got Hazard sent off and helped make sure Chelsea lost that match. Yes, do you remember that?
I feel like there's a whole category in this. Ball boy housery. Swansea was amazing. That was incredible. You remember the one at Spurs where he threw it quickly?
Yeah.
The multi-ball system. You know, the towels at Stoke. You know, the ball boy that threw the ball back at the player. I can't remember what game that was.
Yeah.
Threw it in his face.
There was one the other day.
Yeah, there's been loads of those. I mean, there's ball boy stuff and holding on to the ball. I was a ball boy myself, so I know what the players say. I was a ball boy at Chelsea, and I always remember Dennis Wise abusing me because I was taking too long, and then Gareth Hall abusing me for in the same game for being too quick because they turned it round. They were 1-0 down, went 2-1 up, and I got abused for being too slow and then being too quick.
So you were supposed to adjust your...
Yeah, I need to adjust my housing.
sort of sliding scale of housing according to the scoreboard.
Yeah. I was expected to know that, you know. I was only 9.
What if another ball boy calls Eggy Boff on you as you about to throw the ball?
Yeah, you'd have to go Eggy Boff if you throw the ball on the pitch or something like that. Yeah. So, you'd have to keep it under your hat or just keep it next to you or something.
Can you imagine that?
It would be the final act of a ball boy, wouldn't it? You know, their employment as a ball boy would not continue after that.
I feel like we could have the ball boys and the mascots as one. You know, the mascot who does that one to Stevie in the tunnel. He goes to shake his hand and then he does the little... No.
Well, is mascots more... Because if you're counting children as the mascots, then perhaps you need like a mascot plus mascot children. Do you see what I mean? Because then you're also looking at Harry the Hornet with Zaha.
Yeah. There's been a few situations there as well, isn't there?
It's not easy running an awards bash, is it?
No, it's not.
Not.
I feel like we're slowly building up these categories. Now, should we do one more message and then just kind of make a decision from there?
Yeah, I've got one here, Chris, this is from Aaron in Arundel. And,
off of Frozen, you mean? Arundel.
Says it's really cold here in Arundel at the moment. But following on from the penis in the patio chat from last episode, he said, my father-in-law has built a patio. Unfortunately, I didn't have a clue what was developing in front of my eyes until it was too late. The picture speaks for itself. It is now known as Cock Corner. Incredible. Oh, here it is. Oh, my God.
Let's have a look. What? Apart from the fact that he's got a mono ball, there's no dual testicles here, but the rest of it, the phallus itself, the bell end is amazing.
Yeah, there's no hiding that. That's what it is, isn't it? Look at it in the corners. That's better than I could have even imagined. Really
it's also the other examples we've seen have been tiles that have just been tessellated, and it just, unfortunately, there is a cock. This one is just a cock. I mean, everything else around it is just there to highlight the cock.
But what's the point of it? Like, what, are they going to put a table on that or something? Like, what is the point of it? It's right in the corner of the garden. There's no need for like a a patio.
You get a sundial on the testicle.
So good, that.
I mean, we've got so many messages here that we haven't had a chance to get through, which I think is a huge endorsement of the inaugural SHAFTAs. But I've written down some of these, boys, so we can work out exactly which categories we've got so far. So far in the Housery Awards, I have got customer, father, partner/spousal, mascot, ball boy, manager, set piece, other sporting, ... and DIY. So that's 9 categories. What else do we need?
I personally would like to throw Sunday League Housery in there, because I think there's enough stories that we see from people who've experienced Housery at the lower levels, and often it's captured on video as well. So that would be, personally, I think, my vote.
No, I like it. I think we can go across, sort of, because there's some people that play five-a-side, isn't there? So it's like a five-a-side sort of Sunday League.
Grassroots?
Maybe a grassroots.
Yeah.
Yeah, a grassroots Housery Award.
Well, that's 10 categories, and I think if we do more than that, we're bordering on, what the Oscars do in their own sort of Housery way, which is just a massive awards do. It's really long. People lose interest. We want to keep this how we want it, right? So those 10 categories, if you want to get in touch with examples or nominations for this, you just need to email us peter.crouch@bbc.co.uk or tag us in socials. We're looking for examples of Housery in the following categories: customer, father, partner/spousal. I'm not too familiar with the word.
Spousery.
Spousery. Mascot, ball boy, manager, grassroots. That's all you sort of 5-a-side, 7-a-side Sunday League lot. Set piece, other sporting, and DIY.
Superb.
Yeah. I think we've nailed it. Get in touch with one of those nominees, or a few nominees if you know them, and we will decipher, we'll get through them, and we will send out awards, and we'll do it all in the Samrat.
Apparently, it's problematic at this stage to have some trophies commissioned showing Luis Suarez and Robbie Savage holding hands, but it is achievable to get apparently a turd on a plinth.
Is it?
Yeah. Or what we could do is have like a house, just a little house.
Yeah.
Like the one from Monopoly.
That's a great idea, because then if the trophy place won't make it, we can make it ourselves.
Just get a little house.
Yeah, I like that. Okay. Well, listen, we'll nail that concept down in the next couple of weeks, but I think you're pretty close there, Crouchy. So we've got our categories, we've got our trophy. What about entertainment? So Patrick Bamford has sent us this little video, boys, showing his progress with a certain tune.
That's brilliant.
This is really, really good. What tickles me about this is, when we started this series, you said to me, right, Patrick Bamford's going to play on the piano. Vanessa Carlton. I said you were mad. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's actually, I can tell he spent a lot of time on that as well. Because
what's your professional opinion, Chris?
What he's done there is he's doing more notes than I do. And I know how long it took me, and he's playing more of there's more flourishes on it already. So I just know he must be at this sort of day and night.
Yeah, either that or, perhaps he may be more naturally gifted.
Is he a man climbing a mountain, Chris? And you've started in the valley beneath the summit, and Patrick Bamford has started halfway up the mountain.
I don't know. I think unless you boys can't relate to this, but when you play the piano, you like, the thing is, it's a bit like when we watch football, Crouchy. We can say things to you and go, well, that's how it should be done. You can go, well, you don't play the game, so you don't truly understand it. You've not played at my level. Likewise, I hear that music there and I see both of you looking different. I'm here going, that is incredible. But I noticed the little flourishes that you would miss.
You're basically a piano pundit, aren't you?
What I'm saying is, it took me 2 weeks to learn that in a slightly poorer form. So I really appreciate his art. God, that's going to be amazing. Are you saying, so when we said to Bamford about potentially being the entertainment for for the SHAFTAs, this could potentially happen. He could be potentially playing at the SHAFTAs.
I've got a feeling that this may happen. He's gone away. He's working hard. I'm not sure how Mr. Islam's going to be. I'm not sure if he's going to be happy with a piano, perhaps taking up a couple of seats in the restaurant. But I'll work on him.
It's incredible. No, good effort from Bamford, who's following through on his promise of learning it. Still waiting for a goal celebration from him as well. But I'm sure it will come.
It seems that Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles is really becoming a thing, though, doesn't it? We had a message from Josh telling us how everyone in his local beer garden was absolutely loving it when he stuck the track on the jukebox. And we've also had a message from Emily who says, I went to Alton Towers recently and got stuck on the Smiler about 40 feet in the air. We were stuck in that position for just over an hour and a younger girl started to panic. So we decided to sing a song to take her mind off things. Everyone on the carriage was hanging in the air, singing Vanessa Carlton's 1,000 Miles. Thanks for getting us through it.
That's great.
You know, that's the power of this podcast, it feels. You know, people can be in that situation. I'd be well scared in that. And someone's gone, I know what will cheer everyone up.
Make my way downtown, cause I'm homebound.
Upside down on the Smiler. Amazing.
Wow.
I don't know if you boys have seen this. Someone sent it to us on Twitter, and I used to spend hours on this. And it's a website you can go onto, and it sort of mixes one song with another song. It's called Magic iPod. And you can do a number of different combinations, but one of the songs that you can choose is Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag a song by Ludacris onto Vanessa Carlton, 1,000 Miles, and then it mixes it together straight away. This is a bit of you, Crouchy. Here it comes.
Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. Move, bitch. Get out the way. Get out the way, bitch. Get out the way. Oh, no. The fight's out. I'm about to punch your lights out.
It's what Vanessa would have wanted, I think.
It's something wrong. We can't stay still. I've been drinking and busting too, and I've been thinking of busting you upside your motherfucking forehead. And if your friends jump in, they'll be both dead.
And I need you. And I miss you.
I'm sending you boys a link to the website right now because you'll have hours of fun with that one.
Beautiful. Right. So the entertainment is coming together now as well. I do want to give you this little update, though, boys. This is our Mayo Mole update, who got in touch in the last episode promising to help us out because they work for a big sauce manufacturer. And we've had another message. It reads as follows. Great to hear you got my last email. Since then, there has been a clampdown on Mayo moles and sauces at HQ, but I remain committed to the cause. Unfortunately, it appears we've hit a bit of a sticky patch on product development. The main problem, as Patrick Bamford rightly called out last week, comes down to mayonnaise's inherent viscosity. In its natural thick and creamy form, it's really difficult to spray in a satisfying and evenly distributed manner. But make it too thin, and it could compromise the crispiness of chips, and chip crispiness is something that's taken very seriously. As we continue to search for the delicious middle ground, any ideas from you or the pod community are very welcome. I'm still hopeful that together we can make Tom from near Glasgow's dream a reality. Yours, anonymously, the Mayo Mole.
Big stuff from the Mayo Mole there. And listen, he's doing a lot of good work, isn't he? He's finding out stuff that's going on.
What I don't like from the Mayo Mole this week is he's just giving us problems. My point would be, you're in this world, get it done.
He did also give us one of the great sentences that has ever come out of this podcast, and I'll give it to you again. The main problem, as Patrick Bamford rightly called out last week, comes down to mayonnaise's inherent viscosity.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought?
He's alluded. What I love about that sentence is he's called out Patrick Bamford as if he's an expert on mayonnaise. He plays up front for Leeds United.
Like he's discussing viscosity of sauces on a daily basis.
And the word viscosity is something that has enriched my life. I literally have never heard that word in my
You
life.
find me another football podcast that has used the word viscosity and
Radio 4, get on that viscosity.
Nice. Okay, well, that was a good update. And I think we would reiterate what Mayo Mole said. Any ideas at all from you guys listening? Let us know. Let's see if we can pull this off.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Daniel Dubois again with a question for Crouch. In my last fight, I broke my eye socket and suffered my first loss. Some internet trolls called me a shithouse, a quitter, and a coward. Is that fair?
I just find this question, the whole situation around it, a tiny bit bizarre because it sounded a bit like he had genuine concerns on all this and that the person he's turned to is you, Peter Crouch, to solve. It was a bit like sitting down with a therapist or something like that, and instead he's gone for Crouchy.
It was also the way that he addressed you, Crouchy. It was just a simple Crouch.
And also, I don't know, it's hard because Daniel Dubois was basically asking me, do you think I'm a shithouse?
Just to reiterate what he went through in this fight. This was a fight against Joe Joyce last November. So he got a double break in the orbital bone. That's round his eye. Get this, the orbital tissues were being entrapped. So basically, when he's broken this bone around his eye, it's stabbing his eyeball.
Jeez.
He's carried on for 7 rounds. That's not housery, is it? That's the opposite of housery.
No, there's no shithousing there, let's be honest.
Yeah, I would agree. Christian, is there anything we can do to help Daniel, do you think?
I just think we should support him. Are we allowed to be this biased? I quite like the idea that we embrace him because I've just got this image of such a tough, hard guy almost whimpering into Peter Crouch going, can you solve this? Well, the best we can do is kind of use the power of this podcast to throw a bit of support behind him. It depends if we want to sanction that. I'm up for that.
I'm up for that. I think we should get behind him.
It was good that he wanted to come on here and do the swear warning. He clearly has a couple of concerns that he's alluded to there, and I've got no doubt at all he'll be back stronger for his next fight.
Well, maybe that's it. Back stronger could be Daniel's phrase. The 3 of us can legitimise that, rubber stamp it. Daniel can take away the phrase back stronger, take it somewhere else.
Does he want that? Does he want, because you see this on social, whenever the people who listen to this podcast get behind something, it's just back stronger written under every photo, every tweet. It becomes quite all encompassing. But hopefully it's like a big hug.
I think he'd be up for it, because he was on the right track, wasn't he? And I think, obviously he's lost his way. The last fight got beat. And now all he's got to do is come back stronger with the support of our podcast behind him. When he wins, we could potentially take credit for it.
Oh, I like this. The guy puts in all the work and then we all take the credit. Yeah.
Seems a rather mercenary approach, but all the same.
I like it.
Well, there you go. We can't offer too much, Daniel, but if you would like to sort of borrow the phrase a bit and if you'd like some of the support from us and the listeners of this podcast, we'll be here for you. You'll be back stronger. You can use that for your next fight and then we'll renegotiate after that.
If I actually see on the build up to this fight, Dubois back stronger, gonna really make my day.
It's good because it's good for him because hopefully he's back stronger, and it's good for the podcast because it's passing the pod, isn't it?
Passing the pod in the heavyweight division. Love it.
Crouch has done the robot again because it's 100 Premier League goals for Peter Crouch.
That Peter Crouch podcast from BBC 5 Live.
Available now on BBC Sounds.
Hi, I'm Eddie Hearn and I'm back for a 3rd series of No Passion, No Point. In the latest episode, I'm speaking with former Manchester United and England centre-back Rio Ferdinand.
I got a phone call before, just as I was going to Leeds, and I could have gone Chelsea, and I just said to the geezers, there's just no point in even trying to pitch the idea to me. I need to leave London. I got all my mates, I go out every weekend, and I didn't have a handbrake.
And if you would have stayed in London, if you would have gone to Chelsea, who knows?
I'd have been at Orient in 2 years. Serious. With your dad.
No Passion, No Point. Listen whenever you like on BBC Sounds.